I never thought it could happen to me, but here I am, trapped in this nightmarish world of uncertainty. It all began a few weeks ago when I started noticing some odd occurrences. At first, I brushed them off as coincidences or my mind playing tricks on me. But as the days passed, the strange events became more frequent and unsettling. It started with small things, like misplaced items or strange noises in the middle of the night. But then, I began to notice people staring at me on the street, their eyes filled with an eerie intensity that sent shivers down my spine. I tried to ignore it, but the feeling of being watched was inescapable. My paranoia grew, and I became convinced that someone or something was following me, lurking in the shadows, just out of sight. I could feel its malevolent presence, but every time I turned to look, there was nothing there. Sleep became elusive as nightmares plagued my nights, blurring the lines between reality and the horrifying visions that invaded my mind. My waking hours were no better, as my fear and anxiety escalated, making it difficult to focus on anything else. I tried to reach out to my friends and family, but they all brushed off my fears as figments of my imagination. They said I was overthinking things and that I needed to relax, but I knew deep down that there was something terribly wrong. As the days turned into weeks, my grip on reality started to slip. I became increasingly isolated, shutting myself away from the world outside. My once bright and cheerful apartment felt like a prison, and the walls seemed to close in on me with each passing day. Every sound, every shadow, every creak in the floorboard sent me into a panic. I knew I couldn't trust my senses anymore. The line between reality and delusion had blurred beyond recognition. I sit here now with pen and paper, trying to make sense of it all. I don't know if anyone will ever read this, but I have to write it down. It's the only way to hold on to some semblance of sanity. In the end, I don't know if this is a tale of a troubled mind or a genuine descent into madness. But one thing is certain: I am no longer the person I once was. Psychosis has taken hold, and I fear that there is no turning back. As the days wore on, I found myself sinking deeper into my own mind, lost in a maze of confusion and terror. The paranoia became all-consuming, and I started to doubt even my own memories. What was real, and what was a figment of my imagination? I began to keep a journal, hoping that writing down my thoughts would bring some clarity to the chaos inside my head. But instead, the journal became a record of my unraveling sanity. The words on the pages seemed to mock me, taunting me with their unreliability. I stopped leaving my apartment altogether, afraid of the world outside and the unknown dangers that lurked there. My once vibrant and social life had withered away, replaced by a solitary existence consumed by fear. The nightmares that haunted my sleep grew more vivid and horrifying with each passing night. I would wake up drenched in sweat, my heart pounding in my chest, unable to distinguish between dream and reality. One night, as I lay in bed, I heard a soft whisper coming from the darkness. It was a voice I didn't recognize, a voice that seemed to seep into my mind like poison. "They're coming for you," it hissed, sending a chill down my spine. I clutched the sheets tightly, my breath quickening as I scanned the room for any sign of an intruder. But there was no one there, just the oppressive silence of my apartment. One evening, as I sat huddled in a corner of my apartment, the television flickered to life on its own. Static filled the screen, and a distorted image appeared, barely recognizable as a face. It spoke in garbled, incomprehensible words, but the message was clear. They were watching me. I screamed, trying to shut off the television, but it wouldn't respond to my frantic commands. The distorted face continued to speak, its voice echoing in my mind. "You can't hide from us. We see everything." I tore the television from the wall, ripping out its cords in a desperate attempt to silence the tormenting image. But the voice persisted, now coming from every direction, a cacophony of whispers that filled the air around me. I covered my ears, trying to block out the maddening sound, but it was useless. The voices were inside my head, a chorus of tormentors driving me to the brink of insanity. In a final act of desperation, I smashed the television to pieces, the shards of glass cutting into my hands. Blood mixed with tears as I screamed, the pain a welcome distraction from the torment in my mind. As the days turned into months, I became a shell of my former self, a prisoner in my own mind. I lost all sense of time and reality, living in a perpetual state of fear and confusion. I knew that I couldn't continue like this, that I had to find a way to escape the prison of my own mind. But the more I tried to grasp at reality, the further it slipped away from me. One day, as I sat in my apartment, the walls seemed to pulse and shift around me, their colors blending into a swirling vortex of madness. I closed my eyes, trying to shut out the hallucinations, but they only grew more intense. Suddenly, the whispers in my mind coalesced into a single voice, clear and distinct. "Embrace the darkness," it said, its words sending a chill down my spine. I hesitated for a moment, unsure of what the voice meant. But then, a strange sense of calm washed over me, as if accepting the darkness was the only way to find peace. With a deep breath, I surrendered to the madness, letting go of the last shreds of reality that held me tethered to sanity. The world around me dissolved into a whirlwind of colors and shapes, and I embraced the darkness that enveloped me. In that moment, I found a strange kind of solace, a sanctuary within the chaos. The tormenting voices in my mind faded away, replaced by a soothing silence. As I surrendered to the darkness, I realized that perhaps there was no escaping the madness after all. Maybe this nightmarish world of uncertainty was my new reality, and all I could do was embrace it and find my own peace within the madness.